My name is Sadako Ohki, and I'm the Japan Foundation Associate Curator of Japanese Art at Yale University Art Gallery. My particular interest includes East Asian calligraphy, written in ink and brush. In this short video, I would like to introduce the written Japanese language in calligraphy. The Japanese writing system combines Chinese characters known as kanji with two unique phonetic syllabaries called Kana, derived from the complex Chinese characters. This presentation will touch on the significance and merit of learning calligraphy, and will end with practical tips on writing kanji and kana. First, let us start with the beginning of written characters in China. The written history began as hieroglyphics from central China, circa 1000 BCE, before Common Era. This is a profile of a bronze vessel called gui, made during the Western Zhou period in the 9th century BCE. We are now looking into the cast characters at the bottom of the bronze vessel. Let us zoom into the character forms. This is an enlarged section of the scripts. Historically, East Asian writings start from the top right going down and move to the next column on the left. You may recognize some kanji characters developed from pictographic resemblances of things in nature, for example, the moon in a crescent form. It most often indicates a month of the year. A simple horizontal line represents number 1. This kanji was made from a clear visual representation. This 20th century modern calligraphy by a famous Chinese calligrapher, Wu Changshuo, shows the pictographic characters brushed in ink on paper. This type of form was unified by the famous first emperor of Qin, circa 200 BCE. Around the turn of the 1st century CE, Common Era, during the Han Dynasty, Chinese were already making sophisticated brushes, ink, and paper. Recording history in ink and brush, in other words, calligraphy, in East Asia began. This image is a 19th century Japanese woodblock print called surimono, privately commissioned prints, showing the basic calligraphic implements: brush, caked ink covered with gold, and inkstone. By the time Japan began official contact with Korea and China in the 6th century CE, the art of calligraphy was already mature in China. All the tools and materials had been invented, and all the writing forms and styles were practiced by the educated people from the upper class. This is a calligraphy example written in standard script. Notice how each character is written independently without lines connecting to one another or from one character to the next. This 7th century Buddhist sutra is written in ink and brushed on paper in a hand scroll format. The title is written in the vertical column at the far top right going down. The text starts to its left from the top going down. You may recognize the familiar kanji for the number 1, a single horizontal line written from left to right. In fact, we see several examples of the 2 horizontal lines arranged in this image, a short one above the other long one, indicating number 2. Another familiar kanji, the moon, appears 4 times. Furthermore, the kanji for the 2 and the moon together appear 4 times. As you might have guessed, the 2 together mean the 2nd month of the year. Calligraphy could be written in many ways by script types, writing speed, and personal styles. This is a Chinese example written by Wang Duo, dated to the mid-17th century, brushed in highly personalized, most abbreviated script, written in the fastest style. Even in this example, you may be able to find a character for 1 and 2 and yes, moon. You again see the 2nd month with the two characters together. The spoken Japanese language has a long history, but the written Japanese dates to around 5th century CE. Chinese characters, namely kanji, each has specific meaning or meanings. In most cases, each has only one pronunciation, so a single kanji can be applied to one Japanese pronunciation. See the example at the top right. A kanji pronounced an in Chinese was assigned for the pronunciation a in Japanese, and a kanji pronounced i in Chinese is applied to pronounce i in Japanese. Since the Japanese language belongs to a completely different linguistic family from the Chinese, the Japanese had to develop their own writing system called phonetic Kana syllabaries. There are two types of simplified Kana syllabaries. One is hiragana or simple kana, made from shorthand of kanji, and the other is katakana or partial kana, made from taking sections of kanji. Here you see the hiragana example on the right and the katakana on the left. Both say Kanzeon Bosatsu, meaning bodhisattva in Japanese, a Buddhist deity. The hiragana on the right looks softer and rounder, while the katakana looks blocky. Hiragana on the right has been in use more prominently than katakana in written Japanese. There are thousands of kanji, so many different kanji could be applied to a single Japanese pronunciation. Therefore, historically, deciphering handwritten Japanese has been very challenging. However, as recently as the year 1900, the Japanese Ministry of Education finally standardized the form for the 47 syllables as in this hiragana chart to promote literacy. In developing a more efficient and formal Japanese writing system, kanji, namely Chinese characters, were mixed into the kana writing. This complicated Japanese writing system in basic structure was established by the 12th century. What we recognize today as the Japanese written language can be observed in this print. This surimono print, made circa 1820, depicting Japan's 3 most famous scenic spots, was designed by Utagawa Toyohiro, teacher of the famous Hiroshige. This type of surimono print was often exchanged among a literary group during the Edo period, presenting to us all different scripts in the 3 poems composed by Japanese poets. Here we see a poem written only in kanji on the center right, accompanied by several katakana in small sizes, assisting as a reading tool. Chinese literature has been admired by the Japanese even after their written language was fully established. However, Chinese poems are read according to Japanese grammar and pronunciation. So here, katakana circled in red facilitates the reading. The 2 vertical columns in the center and the 4 at the top left are Japanese poems, each in classical 31 syllables. As you can see, they are written by mixing kana and kanji in a flowing style. These poems require training to read them properly. Here you see a set of practical calligraphy equipment. Brushes here are mostly made of sheep hair. Sumi ink stick is made of soot or carbon mixed with nikawa glue, traditionally made of fish glue and dried in stick form. Other basic equipment includes a water pot, a paper stay to hold the paper secure, and a rectangular felt to help smooth writing in ink on thin paper. As for seated position, you may sit either on the floor or on a chair, but you should have the bottom of your elbow be higher than the tabletop to enable the arm to move freely. calligrapher drops a little water from a small container to the ink stone and starts grinding ink lightly on the stone surface in a circular motion. You must never leave an ink stick resting on the ink stone, as the Nikawa glue will make the ink stick stuck to the stone surface. Once the sumi ink gets to your clothes, it will never come off, so be cautious. Grinding ink is a time to calm your mind and physically to register the circular motion made by the hand, the arm, that ultimately connects to your spine. When the ink is sufficiently dark enough, leave the ink stick on the ink stick rest. A middle-sized brush in general is held with thumb, index, and middle fingers together, supported by the other fingers. Dip the brush tip to the prepared ink that is ready for writing. Remember, once you put down your brush with ink on paper, there is no way back. The calligrapher must take responsibility for one's own action, as you can never erase what you put on your paper. The brush should be held perpendicular to the paper, with the brush tip pointing to the center of the earth, which is also seen as the center of the universe. Like in Zen meditation, empty your earthly worries and concentrate on preparing your brush with the right amount of ink and as pointed of a brush tip as you can make it. Put down the brush on the brush rest and then pick up a sheet of paper. Do one step at a time. Place the sheet of paper smooth side up on the felt. Put the paper weight to prevent paper slipping while you brush. Examine the model calligraphy which you will work from. Look at and memorize the stroke order and make sure you understand what you are going to write. Pick up your brush to recheck the right amount of ink and the perfect point. Place your left hand lightly at the bottom edge of the paper so that the paper will stay in position while you make your masterpiece. It has been said that if you are truly engaged in calligraphy, the very first work of art that you make shows you, the calligrapher, at one's best. This chart shows major technical terminology for brush writing. Kihitsu, launching. Tome, full stop. Harai, sweeping motion. Kata, shoulder. Hane, flicks. Since brush hair is soft, you need to learn basic techniques. Almost all kanji and kana characters start from left to right and go from top to bottom, except for sweeps and flicks, which make diagonal traces. Ichi, number 1. Lightly launch from diagonally up left, draw to the right, and press at the end and lift the brush upward. Ni, number 2. A short horizontal line slightly curving upward, then a long horizontal ichi below. 3, number 3. A short horizontal line slightly upward at the top, then a short flat line in the middle, and the horizontally long ichi. 月, the moon. This kanji has a sweep, a shoulder, and a flick. Start from the vertical left stroke going down and make a sweep by lifting the brush off from the paper, slightly to the left. Next, make a connecting short line to the right and make a shoulder by lifting the brush slightly, then draw down with a slight curve and make a flick by lifting the brush again slightly to change the direction by almost a 45-degree angle to go off the paper. At the end, add 2 short horizontal lines inside. As we noted earlier, hiragana was made from the shorthand of kanji, thus they look curvy, while katakana was taken from sections of kanji, thus straighter and blocky. Let us work on the hiragana example first. This is kanji I in standard script. The below is an abbreviated form, and at the end is hiragana I. This is another I in kanji, and the katakana was made by taking the parts from the kanji. Let us take a look at another prepared example of hiragana. First, kanji an, the standard script, then in shorthand below, then hiragana a at the end. This is another kanji a, pronounced a, and the katakana a was made by taking parts of the kanji. The process of creating hiragana and katakana becomes clear once you see how the forms are made in brush writing. This work is Lotus Roof Tile Rubbing with Waka poem by a nun named Rengetsu, or Lotus Moon, from the 19th century. I would like to end my talk with this Japanese poem. I trust you can find hiragana a and I in this poem. The poem reads in Japanese from top right. 古河原心しあらば出雲路の昔語りのきかまほしきを Old tile, if you had heart, the old tales of the Izumo path, I would have loved to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed learning about the fascinating history of Japanese written language formation and some basic know-how of writing Japanese in calligraphy.